The whole global picture, it's really shifting, isn't it? We're moving away from, one single power dictating things towards something much more distributed, multipolar.
Uh-huh. That's exactly right. And today, we're actually getting a pretty rare glimpse inside the thinking, the strategy of a nation really aiming to carve out a key role in this new setup.
Yeah, we've got this document, a white paper from Vietnam, right, dated May 11th, 2025.
That's the one. And it's seriously ambitious. We're talking a national strategy looking 50 years ahead, all the way out to 2075.
50 years. Wow. That's not short-term thinking at all. That's generational planning.
Absolutely.
And for you listening, don't worry. You don't need to wade through pages of dense policy speak. We're going to distill the key stuff for you.
Yeah, we'll give you the core insights, a clear picture of Vietnam's, well, grand strategy and how it fits into this changing world.
Our mission today, then, is to get a handle on what Vietnam means when they talk about becoming a, quote, pivotal nation.
Exactly. We'll unpack the main pillars of their strategy, what they're building on, and, what makes their approach maybe a bit different or noteworthy right now.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This pivotal nation concept. What's the core idea there, according to the paper?
Well, the central thesis, it's about positioning Vietnam right at the intersection, the crossroads, really,
Intersection of what?
of these emerging global power centers, first off, but also the shifting global supply chains and, crucially, this intense race in technology that's happening.
And that time frame, 2025 to 2075. Why is that 50-year window so important to them?
They frame it as absolutely critical, foundational. It's the period they see as essential for building the groundwork for their next century.
Okay. And the priorities for that period?
They're pretty clear.
Mm.
Achieving what they call technological sovereignty, making a big leap in AI, adopting a kind of flexible, smart diplomacy, and pursuing sustainable development, but in a way that's really tied to their own national identity.
Right. So what's their read on the global situation? What changes are creating this opportunity for them to become pivotal?
The paper lays out this vision of a multipolar world taking shape. They specifically name the U.S., China, the EU, India, and ASEAN as the key players.
The main centers of power.
Exactly. And they stress that the dynamic between these players won't be simple. It'll be a mix, competition and cooperation, a complex dance.
And technology. That seems central to this whole picture.
Oh, absolutely central. The paper talks about a global technology race,
Right.
with AI right at the forefront.
AI is the spearhead.
Yes, but also things like semiconductors and clean energy tech. They see leadership in these areas as fundamental to shaping, whatever the future global order looks like.
We're also seeing big shifts in the economy globally, aren't we? New trade corridors, new partnerships.
Precisely. The white paper mentions this restructuring of geoeconomics. It points to big initiatives like China's Belt and Road, the IMCAR corridor connecting India, the Middle East, and Europe.
Right, IMS and RCP, IPEF too.
Yep, those two. RCEP, IPEF. And the key point they make is that these are creating new pathways for trade, new connections, and moving away from dependence on just one dominant economic model.
But it's not all hard power tech and economics, is it? The paper mentions something else.
That's right, soft power. They see it as crucial for long-term influence.
Which includes?
Things like cultural values, intellectual contributions, their position on AI ethics, for example, even the general appeal of their lifestyle or society.
So it's about attractiveness, influence beyond just muscle.
Exactly. The paper argues these factors will be really significant in shaping how Vietnam is perceived and how much influence it has in the long run. It's quite interesting how they explicitly connect things like, say, Vietnamese design or even philosophy to their bigger economic and tech goals.
It's not just about tourism, then.
No, it's about seeing their cultural identity as a real asset, something that can shape global views, maybe even guide how AI ethics develop. It's quite holistic.
Okay, so that's the global backdrop. Let's get into the specifics of Vietnam's 50-year plan. What's the big picture goal?
The main aim is to become a major center, a hub for technology, innovation, finance, and they use this phrase, a center of civilization in East Asia.
A center of civilization. That's a bold statement.
It is. They envision this powerful convergence of advanced tech, their population's energy, and a strong, unique national identity.
And it's broken down into phases, I gather.
Yes, two main phases. The first one runs from 2025 to 2050. They call it technological breakthrough and digital transformation.
Okay, and the focus there.
It's really about getting the fundamentals right, building out the national digital infrastructure, fostering the open AI ecosystem, that kind of thing.
Any specific targets?
Oh, yeah. A big one is breaking into the world's top 30 countries for innovation, according to the WIPO rankings.
Top 30. That's ambitious. How do they plan to achieve that kind of jump?
Well, one key strategy mentioned is strategically linking. It mentions SHC. Now, the source doesn't spell out exactly what SHC is, but linking it with Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Da Nang suggests it's a major tech hub, maybe a new one.
Right, creating a sort of cluster.
Exactly. They call it an AI and high-tech triangle, connecting these key urban centers.
Okay, that's phase 1. What about phase 2, further down the road?
Right, phase 2 is 2050 to 2075. The theme here is mastering core technology, spreading Vietnamese wisdom.
Mastering core tech. So going beyond just adopting technology.
Precisely. The goal is true mastery of their own national AI platforms. Think applications in healthcare, education, language, government services.
Wow. And I heard something about them potentially setting standards.
That's right. The paper talks about developing a Vietnam AI Act. And the ambition is that this could become a model, maybe for ASEAN, perhaps even for other developing nations.
Setting a benchmark.
Yeah. And beyond that, this phase also sees them significantly expanding exports of Vietnamese tech, targeting places like Africa, South Asia, the Middle East.
That really signals a high degree of confidence, doesn't it? Exporting their own tech solutions.
It absolutely does. It shows they plan not just to catch up, but to potentially lead in certain areas.
So those are the broad phases. How do they plan to actually do all this? The paper mentions 6 strategic pillars, I believe.
Correct. These are the concrete action areas. Pillar number 1 is technological sovereignty and AI.
Okay, what does that involve?
Things like setting up a National Institute of AI, VNAI, and a big supercomputing and big data center. And crucially, prioritizing what they term the National Technology Triangle.
Which is?
AI plus semiconductors plus renewable energy. They see these 3 as tightly interconnected and fundamental.
That makes sense. AI needs chips, and both need sustainable power.
Exactly. It shows they're thinking holistically about the entire tech stack and its dependencies. This pillar also mentions fostering an AI and deep tech startup scene at a place called Silicon Highland.
Silicon Highland, where's that?
We find out later it's planned for Lam Dong province.
Interesting. Okay, pillar 2 moves to infrastructure, right? The physical connections.
Yes. Geoeconomic infrastructure and regional logistics. This is about completing a major north-south axis, but also extending towards the Indian Ocean using highways, rail, deep water ports.
And connecting internationally?
Critically, yes. Connecting Vietnam into that IM8 corridor, India, Middle East, Europe. Positioning themselves as a key node on that emerging route. It seems logical you need the infrastructure from Pillar 2 to really enable the tech sovereignty aims of Pillar 1.
Right, they feed into each other. What's pillar 3?
Finance, Southeast Asian Financial and Innovation Center. The goal here is making Ho Chi Minh City a major regional land-based financial hub by developing markets for things like digital assets, green bonds, and setting up AI fintech sandboxes, places to safely test financial innovations.
So again, linking back to the tech focus, it feels like these pillars are quite interwoven. Is that a fair assessment? A strength, perhaps?
I think that's definitely the intention. They're not meant to be silos. The tech push needs infrastructure, which supports the financial center ambitions, and so on. It seems designed to be a reinforcing system.
Okay, pillar 4 sounds intriguing. Diplomacy of knowledge reconciliation connection. What's that about?
It's about playing an active role on the world stage, specifically in discussions around technology, AI governance, digital ethics, not just being a rule taker, but shaping the conversation.
Proactive diplomacy.
Yes. And they even have a concrete goal, hosting a major global forum called AI for Humanity, sometime between 2035 and 2040.
So signaling they want to be a thought leader in that space, then pillar 5 seems to bring culture back into focus.
It does. Soft identity and cultural power. This is about weaving Vietnamese culture, design, architecture, film in the global value chain.
Making it economically relevant.
Partly, yes, but also exporting Vietnamese ideas, philosophies, especially around sustainable development and, again, the ethical use of AI. It's reinforcing that idea that influence isn't just about money or tech.
And the final pillar, number 6. It looks like it maps everything out geographically.
That's right. Strategic zones, a multi-centered development network. It basically assigns specific roles to different parts of the country.
Can you give us the highlights?
Sure. Ho Chi Minh City, finance, services, startups, Silicon Highland and Lam Dong, R&D, the AI campus, innovative education, the Central Coast, focusing on tourism, lifestyle, but also clean energy and maritime logistics.
Okay.
Then up north, Quangmin Vandong Mongkai, the gateway to China in East Asia, focusing on logistics, smart ports. Further south on the coast, Vanfong Chulai, the big port cluster, high-tech coastal zone. And out west, Rach Jiafuquoc, high-end tourism and services, the gateway to the Gulf of Thailand and the Indian Ocean.
Wow. It really is a comprehensive nationwide plan with different regions specializing. So stepping back from the details, what are the main takeaways for you from this white paper? What really stands out?
Well, first, just the sheer scale of the ambition is remarkable. And the long-term view, that 50-year horizon, this isn't tinkering around the edges. It's a fundamental reimagining of Vietnam's global role.
Right.
And when you connect these specific initiatives, VNAI, Silicon Highland, the AI Act, linking into IMES, they all clearly point towards boosting tech, growing the economy, and gaining more international clout.
And you mentioned earlier they seem very keen on balancing this tech drive with their cultural identity.
Absolutely. That emphasis on protecting and promoting Vietnamese values and ethics, alongside all the high-tech stuff, that's a really key, maybe distinctive part of their strategy. It hints at wanting a kind of influence that's, well, deeper than just GDP figures.
So thinking bigger picture, what are the potential implications of this strategy for the region, for the world?
Well, it really highlights how interconnected everything is becoming in this multipolar world. If Vietnam successfully implements even parts of this, it could significantly shift trade flows, tech standards, diplomatic alignments, certainly in Southeast Asia, but potentially further afield too.
It makes you wonder how other countries are planning for these same global shifts.
Exactly. It kind of prompts you to ask, what are their long-term plans?
Mhm.
How are they positioning themselves?
That target you mentioned, breaking into the top 30 for innovation, that feels like a huge leap. What you see as the biggest challenges or potential roadblocks for them in achieving that?
Oh, there are definitely challenges. I mean, building that kind of R&D capacity, fostering a truly innovative ecosystem, attracting and retaining top talent, that takes immense effort and investment. And, avoiding potential pitfalls like maybe focusing too much on top-down directives versus enabling bottom-up innovation. There's always a risk of bureaucratic hurdles or unexpected global disruptions too. It's a long road.
So let's try and wrap up this deep dive. We've looked at Vietnam's 50-year white paper, and the core message seems to be this incredibly ambitious plan to become a truly pivotal nation by harnessing technology, leveraging their unique identity, and engaging proactively with the world through smart diplomacy.
Yeah, that captures it well. And it leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it?
Which is,
In this world we're entering, with all the tech competition and shifting alliances, what does it actually mean to be pivotal? Is there only one way to achieve that?
or are there different paths?
Right. How much comes down to tech prowess versus, say, cultural influence or skill in global diplomacy? It really gets you thinking about that complex mix, technology, culture, global engagement, and how it shapes where a nation ends up.
It's definitely a fascinating case study in long-range strategic thinking in this very complex global moment. It might make you think about how other nations or regions are approaching their own futures, and maybe what we could learn by looking at their strategies too, if we could see them.